What if everything you learned in school about our planet was incomplete? What if there are places so bizarre, so impossibly strange, that they sound like they're from another world? I'm talking about a beach where the sand literally barks like a dog, an island that appears and disappears with the tides, and a place where gravity works backwards, making you feel lighter instead of heavier. Today, I'm revealing 50 geography facts so unbelievable, so absolutely mind-shattering that you'll never look at a map the same way again. Some of these discoveries are so recent that your teachers probably never heard about them. And here's the thing, by the end of this video, you'll know more about Earth's hidden secrets than 99% of people walking this planet. If you're ready to have everything you thought you knew completely turned upside down, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon because what's coming will leave you speechless. Trust me, your friends are going to think you're making this stuff up. Let's jump right in. Fact 1. The river that flows upside down beneath the Amazon rainforest. There's a river flowing 4,000 meters underground that's wider than the Amazon itself. The Hamza River stretches for 6,000 kilometers, moving through porous rock at a glacial pace of just a few meters per year. This underground giant was only discovered in 2011, meaning it's been hiding below our feet this entire time. Scientists found it by analyzing temperature data from 241 inactive oil wells. The craziest part? If it were on the surface, it would be one of the longest rivers in the world, but almost nobody has ever seen it. Fact 2. The country that doesn't exist on weekends. The Republic of Molossia is a 5.5-hectare micronation completely surrounded by Nevada, USA. Its president, Kevin Ball, has declared independence, created his own currency, and even counts time in a unique measurement system. But here's the kicker: Molossia is closed to visitors on weekends. That's right, an entire country with office hours. It has its own space program, a navy consisting of 2 kayaks, and claims to be at war with East Germany, a country that hasn't existed since 1990. It's geographically absurd, yet technically exists within US borders. Fact 3. The beach that barks in Hawaii's Kauai Island. Barking Sands Beach actually makes dog-like sounds when you walk on it. The dry, fine-grained sand produces this bizarre acoustic phenomenon when friction causes the grains to vibrate at specific frequencies. But the sound only happens during dry conditions. After rain, the beach goes completely silent. Native Hawaiians believe supernatural dogs lived beneath the sand, which explains the beach's Hawaiian name Nohili, meaning the loud. Scientists have measured the frequency at around 450 to 2,500 hertz, the same range as a dog's bark. Fact 4. The island that plays hide and seek. Surtsey Island off the coast of Iceland literally didn't exist before 1963. It erupted from the ocean floor in a volcanic explosion that lasted 4 years, adding 1.4 square kilometers of brand new land to Earth's surface. The island became a living laboratory where scientists could watch ecosystems form from absolute zero. They've documented how birds brought the first seeds, how plants colonized barren rock, and how an entire ecosystem bootstrapped itself into existence. But here's the twist. The island is shrinking. Erosion is slowly reclaiming it, and scientists predict it might disappear entirely within a few centuries. Fact 5. The desert that blooms once a decade, Chile's Atacama Desert, is the driest place on Earth, with some areas receiving less than 1 millimeter of rain per year. But every 5 to 7 years, something magical happens. When rare rainfall occurs, millions of dormant seeds explode into life, transforming the barren wasteland into a carpet of over 200 species of flowers. This phenomenon, called Desierto Florido, or flowering desert, lasts only a few weeks before the blooms die and the seeds return to dormancy, waiting years or even decades for the next rain. It's one of nature's most dramatic transformations, and you have to be incredibly lucky to witness it. Fact 6. The lake that explodes, Lake Nyos in Cameroon, is one of only 3 known exploding lakes on Earth. In 1986, the lake suddenly released a massive cloud of carbon dioxide that suffocated 1,746 people and 3,500 livestock in nearby villages. The CO2 accumulated from volcanic activity beneath the lake created a deadly invisible wave that traveled at nearly 100 kilometers per hour. Today, the lake is fitted with degassing pipes that release the carbon dioxide slowly to prevent another catastrophe. But scientists warn that the pipes might not be enough if pressure builds too quickly. It's a ticking time bomb sitting peacefully in the African countryside. Fact 7. The forest that isn't. Poland's Crooked Forest contains about 400 pine trees with mysterious 90-degree bends at their bases, all curving northward before growing straight up. Planted in the 1930s, these trees were likely manipulated by humans for some unknown purpose, perhaps to create curved timber for furniture or boat building. But World War II interrupted the plans, and the reason for the curves was lost to history. Despite growing in the same soil and conditions as surrounding straight trees, only these 400 bend bizarrely, creating one of the world's strangest forests. Fact 8. The mountain that moves Mauna Loa in Hawaii is the world's largest active volcano, containing about 80,000 cubic kilometers of rock. But what makes it truly bizarre is that it's so heavy, it's actually depressing the ocean floor beneath it. The massive weight causes the crust to sink, creating a depression several kilometers deep. Even more incredible, the mountain grows and shrinks with volcanic activity, sometimes moving several centimeters per year. GPS stations track its breathing, literally swelling before eruptions and deflating afterward like a giant stone lung. Fact 9. The border you can rent between Belgium and the Netherlands. There's a complicated enclave situation where Belgian territory exists within Dutch territory, which contains Belgian territory again. The town of Barle is divided into 22 Belgian enclaves and 8 Dutch counter-enclaves. White crosses on the ground mark the borders, which zigzag through buildings. Some houses are split between countries. Residents can choose which country they belong to based on where their front door is located. You can literally eat dinner in Belgium and walk 3 steps to have dessert in the Netherlands. Some restaurants have borders running through their dining rooms. Fact 10. The city that sinks Mexico City is sinking at a rate of up to 50 centimeters per year in some areas, making it one of the fastest sinking cities on Earth. Built on an ancient lakebed by the Aztecs, the city's thirst for groundwater is causing the clay soil to compact. Buildings tilt at crazy angles, streets buckle and crack, and the drainage system is now higher than the buildings it serves in some neighborhoods. The famous Palace of Fine Arts has sunk more than 3 meters since construction. At this rate, entire neighborhoods could be uninhabitable within decades. Fact 11. The rainbow that never ends is the Catatumbo. Lightning in Venezuela is the most persistent electrical storm on Earth, occurring up to 260 nights per year for up to 10 hours at a time. The Catatumbo River empties into Lake Maracaibo, where unique atmospheric conditions create an almost nightly lightning show with up to 280 strikes per hour. The phenomenon is so reliable, it was used for navigation by ships for centuries and is sometimes called the Eternal Storm. Local legend says the lightning appears where the spirits of fallen warriors battle in the sky. It's visible from 400 kilometers away and produces more ozone than any other single generator on Earth. Fact 12. The continent that forgot to exist. Mauritius is a lost continent that sank beneath the Indian Ocean about 83 million years ago. Scientists discovered it by finding ancient rocks on Mauritius and Reunion Islands that were much older than the volcanic islands themselves. These zircon crystals dated back 3 billion years, proving that a microcontinent once existed before being swallowed by rising seas and tectonic shifts. It's like finding a fossil of land itself. Researchers estimate Mauritius was roughly the size of Madagascar before it disappeared, taking countless species and geological features with it into the depths. Fact 13. The lake with jellyfish that forgot how to sting. Palau's jellyfish lake contains millions of golden jellyfish that have lost their ability to sting because they've been isolated for so long. Without predators, they didn't need their defensive mechanism, so evolution took it away over thousands of years. Snorkelers can swim through clouds of these harmless jellyfish in one of the world's most surreal experiences. The lake is connected to the ocean through tunnels and fissures, but it's isolated enough that the jellyfish evolved into a unique subspecies found nowhere else. However, warming ocean temperatures have caused population crashes, and access is sometimes restricted to protect them. Fact 14. The river that changes direction. The Tonle Sap River in Cambodia is one of the only rivers in the world that regularly reverses its flow. During the dry season, it flows normally from Tonle Sap Lake into the Mekong River. But during monsoon season, The Mekong swells so much that it actually pushes water backwards, causing the tonal sap to reverse and fill the lake instead. This annual reversal quadruples the size of Tonle Sap Lake, creating one of the world's richest fishing grounds. The local ecosystems have completely adapted to this bizarre cycle, with entire villages built on floating platforms that move with the changing water levels. Fact 15. The valley where sound doesn't travel. California's racetrack playa in Death Valley is so flat and so acoustically unusual that sounds don't travel normally. Visitors report an eerie silence where even loud noises seem muffled and voices fade unusually fast. The reason? The ultra-flat surface and unique atmospheric conditions create acoustic dead zones. But that's not the only weird thing. The playa is also home to sailing stones rocks that mysteriously move across the desert floor, leaving trails behind them. Scientists finally solved the mystery in 2014. Rare ice sheets form overnight, and morning winds push the ice which slides the rocks. Fact 16. The island where time stands still. On the Diomede Islands in the Bering Strait, Big Diomede, Russia, and Little Diomede, USA, are separated by just 3.8 kilometers. But there's a 21-hour time difference between them because of the international date line. Standing on Little Diomede, you can literally see tomorrow on Big Diomede. During the Cold War, the ice curtain separated them, with Soviet guards watching American islanders and vice versa. In winter, when the strait freezes, you could theoretically walk from today into tomorrow, from America to Russia in less than an hour. Fact 17. The cave that ate a mountain. Hang Son Doong in Vietnam is so massive that it contains its own weather system, complete with clouds, fog, and even wind patterns. The cave is large enough to fit a New York City block of 40-story skyscrapers inside it. It has underground rivers, 70-meter-tall stalagmites, and jungles growing inside where the ceiling collapsed, creating natural skylights. The cave was only discovered in 1990 and was unfully explored until 2009. Its name means Mountain River Cave, and it's still revealing secrets. New passages are discovered regularly, and scientists estimate they've only explored about 70% of the system. Fact 18. The country that's literally buying land, Kiribati, a Pacific island nation, is purchasing land in Fiji to relocate its entire population as rising sea levels threaten to submerge the country completely. With an average elevation of just 2 meters above sea level, Kiribati is on the front line of climate change. The government has bought 24 square kilometers of land 2,000 kilometers away as an insurance policy. It's the first country actively planning for the complete evacuation of its entire population, all 119,000 people. Within 50 years, Kiribati might exist only as a legal entity without physical territory, a nation without land. Fact 19. The desert where it never stops raining. The Meghalaya region in northeastern India is home to Mawsynram, officially the wettest place on Earth with an average annual rainfall of 11,872 millimeters. That's almost 12 meters of rain every single year. The locals have adapted by creating living bridges from the roots of rubber trees, training them to grow into walkable structures that get stronger over time. Some bridges are over 500 years old. During the monsoon season, it can rain continuously for days without a single break, and residents wear full-body Knup shields made from bamboo and banana leaves. Fact 20. The mountain that shouldn't exist. Mount Roraima sits on the border between Venezuela, Brazil, and Guyana, and it's a flat-topped mountain tepee that inspired Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World. The mountain is almost 2 billion years old, making it one of the oldest geological formations on Earth. Its flat summit is home to species found nowhere else because it's been isolated for millions of years, plants, insects, and frogs that evolved in complete isolation. The summit is almost always shrouded in clouds, and waterfalls plunge over its sheer cliffs into the jungle below. It's the closest thing to visiting an alien world without leaving Earth. Fact 21. The bay that swallows ships. The Bay of Fundy between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia has the highest tides in the world, with water levels changing up to 16 meters, that's a 5-story building, twice per day. The extreme tides create powerful currents and whirlpools that have swallowed ships throughout history. At low tide, you can walk on the ocean floor, and 6 hours later, that same spot is underwater. The incoming tide moves so fast it creates a tidal bore, a wave that travels up rivers against the current. Over 160 billion tons of seawater flow in and out of the bay every day, more than all the world's freshwater rivers combined. Fact 22. The village that lives on a volcano. Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo is a city of 2 million people built literally on top of an active volcano. Mount Nyiragongo, looming just 18 kilometers away, contains the world's largest lava lake and has erupted over 34 times since 1882. In 2002, lava flows destroyed 40% of the city, but people returned and rebuilt in the same dangerous location. The ground beneath homes sometimes cracks open, releasing toxic gases. You can feel small earthquakes daily. Yet, life continues because the volcanic soil is incredibly fertile, and people have nowhere else to go. It's one of the most dangerous inhabited places on Earth. Fact 23. The ocean that isn't. The Sargasso Sea is the only sea on Earth defined not by coastlines but by ocean currents. 4 major currents, the Gulf Stream, the North Atlantic Current, the Canary Current, and the North Atlantic Equatorial Current, create a clockwise circulation that traps floating sargassum seaweed in the center. This creates a unique ecosystem in the middle of the open Atlantic Ocean. The sea is incredibly clear because the circular currents prevent nutrient mixing, making it one of the bluest and most transparent waters on Earth. Columbus wrote about it, believing he was near land because of the dense seaweed. Baby sea turtles depend on it for survival, and eels from around the world migrate there to spawn. Fact 24. The island built on trash. The Spiral Island, originally built by British artist Richard Reshi Soa in Mexico, was a floating artificial island constructed entirely from discarded plastic bottles. Soa collected over 250,000 bottles, netted them together, and created a floating platform strong enough to support a house, garden, and even trees. The original island was destroyed by Hurricane Emily in 2005, but Soa built a second version with over 100,000 bottles. It proves 2 things. Human ingenuity knows no bounds, and our plastic waste is so abundant you can literally build islands from it. Fact 25. The cave that glows blue. The Wadamo glowworm caves in New Zealand are home to thousands of Arachnocampa luminosa larvae that create a breathtaking natural light show. These tiny creatures hang sticky silk threads from the cave ceiling and emit a bioluminescent glow to attract prey. Floating through the underground rivers in complete darkness, you look up to see what appears to be a starry night sky, except these stars are living creatures. The larvae are extremely sensitive to light and sound, so visitors must remain silent. Each star is a hungry predator waiting to snare flying insects in its sticky trap. Fact 26. The country you can walk across in an hour. Vatican City is the world's smallest country at just 0.44 square kilometers. But it's packed with more art and history per square meter than anywhere else on Earth. You can walk from one end to the other in about 40 minutes. Despite its tiny size, it has its own banking system, postal service, military, the Swiss Guard, and even a railway station that's longer than some of its streets. It's the only country that can lock its gates at night. With a population of around 800, it has more popes per capita than anywhere else, because there's only one, but he counts for a lot. Fact 27. The mountain that exploded. In 1980, Mount St. Helens in Washington state exploded with the force of 24 megatons of TNT, 1,600 times larger than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The eruption removed 400 meters from the summit, turning a symmetrical mountain into a horseshoe-shaped crater. The lateral blast traveled at over 1,000 kilometers per hour, flattening entire forests like matchsticks for 30 kilometers. The eruption ejected more than 1 cubic kilometer of material and caused mudflows that traveled over 80 kilometers. The landscape was transformed into a gray moonscape, but nature has slowly reclaimed it, and the mountain is still active and building a new lava dome inside the crater. Fact 28. The lake that changes color every day. Kelimutu volcano in Indonesia has 3 crater lakes that continuously change colors independently of each other, from turquoise to green, red, chocolate brown, or black. The colors shift based on chemical reactions between minerals and volcanic gases rising from beneath. Sometimes 2 lakes are the same color. Sometimes all 3 differ. Local legends say the lakes are resting places for departed souls, one for the young, one for the old, and one for those who did evil in life. Scientists visit regularly to monitor the chemistry, but they still can't predict which colors will appear when. Fact 29. The river with no fish. The Rio Tinto in Spain runs blood red due to extreme acidity and high concentrations of heavy metals. With a pH level of 2, it's as acidic as stomach acid, making it toxic to most life forms. Yet extremophile bacteria thrive there, eating iron and sulfur and creating the otherworldly red color. The river has been mined for 5,000 years, dating back to the Phoenicians, Romans, and Visigoths. NASA studies the river because its chemistry closely resembles conditions on Mars, making it a perfect Earth analog for potential Martian life. The river is essentially liquid poison, yet it's been a source of wealth for millennia. Fact 30. The island that appears and disappears. Ferdinandea Island near Sicily has erupted from the Mediterranean Sea 3 times in recorded history, each time causing international incidents over who owned it. The volcanic island rises during eruptions and erodes away within months. In 1831, it rose 65 meters above sea level, and Britain, France, and Spain all claimed it, nearly causing a war. Before they could settle the dispute, the island disappeared beneath the waves. It currently sits 8 meters below the surface, and volcanologists expect it to emerge again. When it does, the territorial dispute will probably restart exactly where it left off, nearly 200 years ago. Fact 31. The desert where it snows. The Atacama Desert in Chile is the driest non-polar desert on Earth, but in 2011 and again in 2015, it snowed. Scientists were stunned because some weather stations had never recorded moisture of any kind in over 100 years. The snow came from a rare combination of cold air from Antarctica meeting moisture from the Pacific, creating one of the most bizarre weather events in recorded history. The sight of snow-covered cacti and frozen sand dunes was so unusual that some locals had never seen snow before, despite living their entire lives in the same place. Fact 32. The forest that walks. The walking forest of Ecuador consists of palm trees with stilt-like roots that actually allow them to walk up to 20 meters per year. As soil erodes on one side or better sunlight appears in another direction, the trees grow new roots toward the light and let old roots die, effectively moving across the forest floor over time. Scientists debate whether this qualifies as true locomotion, but locals have watched individual trees change positions over their lifetimes. It's one of the only examples of plants exhibiting something resembling purposeful movement toward resources. Fact 33. The city built on water, Venice, isn't just near water, it's built on 118 small islands separated by canals and connected by over 400 bridges. The entire city rests on millions of wooden piles driven into the sandy bottom of the lagoon. These wooden foundations have lasted over 1,000 years because they're submerged in water with no oxygen, preventing decay. But Venice is sinking at 1 to 2 millimeters per year while sea levels rise, creating a dual crisis. The city now floods regularly during acqua alta, high water events. Engineers have built massive movable barriers, moats, to protect it. But climate change makes Venice's long-term survival uncertain. Fact 41. The river that runs through a cave. The Puerto Princesa Underground River in the Philippines flows 8.2 kilometers through a limestone cave system before emptying into the South China Sea. You can boat through the cave, passing stunning rock formations, while the river flows beneath you in complete darkness. The cave system is so extensive that new chambers are still being discovered. The river creates its own microclimate inside the cave, with bats and swiftlets navigating in pitch darkness. The limestone formations include stalactites, stalagmites, and shapes that resemble vegetables, animals, and religious figures inspiring local folklore. Fact 42. The island that shouldn't support life. Socotra Island off Yemen is so isolated and bizarre that 37% of its plant species, 90% of its reptiles, and 95% of its land snails exist nowhere else on Earth. The iconic dragon's blood trees look like flying saucers with umbrella-shaped canopies, and they bleed red sap that's been used as dye and medicine for millennia. The island separated from Africa 20 million years ago, allowing evolution to run wild in isolation. Walking through Socotra feels like visiting an alien planet. The plants and animals look familiar enough to be recognizable as life, but strange enough to be unsettling. Fact 43. The beach that's older than dinosaurs. Chandeleur Islands in Louisiana contain some of the oldest sand in the world. Core samples reveal sand grains that are over 1 billion years old. weathered from ancient Appalachian mountains that once towered higher than the Himalayas. These microscopic time travelers have survived the rise and fall of dinosaurs, the formation and breakup of supercontinents, and countless ice ages. They've been recycled through the rock cycle dozens of times, tumbling through rivers, settling in ancient seas, being uplifted into mountains, and eroding again. You can hold infinity in your hand on this beach. Fact 44. The lake with no bottom. Crater. Lake in Oregon appears to have no visible bottom due to its incredible clarity and depth of 594 meters. The water is so pure, with visibility up to 43 meters, that the lake displays an intensely deep blue color. The lake formed 7,700 years ago when Mount Mazama erupted and collapsed, creating a caldera that filled with rain and snow. Because it has no inlet or outlet streams, the water is exceptionally clean, replenished entirely by precipitation. Native Americans witnessed the eruption and passed down oral histories describing the battle between sky and underworld spirits that collapsed the mountain. Fact 45. The valley that eats sound. The Hoia Baciu forest in Romania is called the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania due to its reputation for paranormal activity, but the scientific reality is equally strange. The forest has an unusual microclimate that creates acoustic dead zones where sounds vanish inexplicably. There is a circular clearing in the forest center where nothing grows. Soil tests show no chemical reason for the barrenness, yet trees refuse to take root. The forest's bizarre twisted trees result from local wind patterns and soil conditions, but their grotesque shapes have inspired countless legends. Scientists studying the area report equipment malfunctions and unusual electromagnetic readings. Fact 46. The island that rains diamonds. Jupiter and Saturn might rain diamonds, but Earth has something similar. Off the coast of Japan, methane hydrate deposits on the seafloor occasionally release gas that crystallizes into solid form underwater, creating diamond-like structures. These aren't true diamonds, but the phenomenon demonstrates how extreme pressure and cold can create crystal formations in unexpected places. Japan is interested in mining these deposits for energy, as methane hydrates contain vast amounts of trapped natural gas. The seafloor literally sparkles with these formations in some areas. Fact 47. The mountain that moves water uphill. Mount Aragats in Armenia experiences a gravitational anomaly where water flows uphill on certain slopes. Scientists attribute this to the mountain's unusual magnetic properties and iron-rich rocks that create localized gravitational irregularities. Pour water on the ground and it defies expectations by flowing upward. The phenomenon is most pronounced in summer, when temperature differences create additional air pressure variations. Locals have known about it for centuries, considering the mountain sacred because it breaks the rules of nature. Fact 48. The ocean that glows at night. The Sea of Stars in the Maldives creates one of nature's most magical displays when bioluminescent. Phytoplankton light up with every movement in the water. Walk along the beach and your footprints glow blue. Swim and you're surrounded by living light. The phytoplankton, Lingolodinium polyedrum, produce light as a defense mechanism when disturbed, creating a chemical reaction that releases photons. The phenomenon peaks during certain months when plankton blooms are densest. It turns the ocean into a liquid galaxy where waves crash in fluorescent blue, and every splash creates an explosion of light. Fact 49. The desert that whistles. The Kelso Dunes in California's Mojave Desert produce a low booming or whistling sound when sand avalanches down their slopes. The dunes rise 200 meters above the desert floor, and when conditions are perfect, dry sand, steep slopes, and someone sliding down the dunes sing with a sound like a low-flying jet or cello. The specific acoustic properties depend on grain size, shape, and uniformity. Native Americans considered the dunes sacred because of these mysterious sounds, believing they were messages from the spirit world. Fact 50. The island where evolution stopped. Lord Howe Island off Australia is home to the Lord Howe Island stick insect, once thought extinct for 80 years until a tiny population was discovered clinging to a barren volcanic spire, 23 kilometers away. These tree lobsters are living fossils, virtually unchanged for millions of years. The island's isolation preserved species found nowhere else 68% of its native plants, 37% of its birds, and 100% of its land snails are endemic. The island represents a snapshot of evolution frozen in time, showing what life looked like before human influence spread globally. It's a natural museum of prehistoric ecosystems still breathing in the modern world.